having a dilemma.
Of all the tasks that I'm doing, whether it's planning for a trip, which route to take to drive to work and go back home, doing your personal finances, one way or another there is a system behind it. You do one or two tasks repeatedly every single time to accomplish the one big task. But as a person who considers himself as a creative person, it tends to get boring. It's too monotonous. I sometimes like to alter things or tasks and maybe do a different approach, or maybe want to change the system completely. But I know systems exist in our lives for good reasons, for one of which is it helps you to be organized. Having a system gives you structure. You make predetermined tasks, that way you don't have to think about anything every time you do it, therefore making you efficient with your time. And don't mention peace of mind. Let me give you an example. Whenever I'm making a YouTube video, like the one that we're doing right now, there is a process to this that I follow. So that's researching, scripting, storyboarding, making the shot list, filming, and editing. I need to do this in a chronological order in order for me to craft or edit a successful YouTube video. I can't do the scripting if I don't have any stories to tell. So that's why there's a reason researching is first on the list. And same goes to the other task involved. Here's another example. In 3 weeks' time, from the date of this recording, me and my wife, Trisha, will go to Vancouver for a 4-day vacation trip. It'll be our first time in Vancouver ever since we got here in Canada. Of course, we have to sit down together and plan out this trip, and figure out what do we want to do when we're there. And that involves planning and organizing the days of the trip. So that includes where do we want to go, what do we want to eat, what do we want to do. Having all these things listed beforehand will allow us to enjoy the trip with minimal stress. We don't have to think about it. Now, all we have to do once we're there is just enjoy the sun, follow the itinerary as we go. Okay, so everything is now planned and organized for the trip. One thing that we can really plan out is the weather out in Vancouver. Not much we can do anything about that, so fingers crossed we get there with good weather. Now, here's another thing why I like systems. It gives you predictability. You get the same results every time. Let's say your goal for every morning is to get ready, just like most people. Imagine that your morning routine goes like this. After waking up, you brush your teeth, take a shower, get dressed, have your morning coffee and your breakfast, and then you're ready to seize the day. And you do that every single morning, giving you the results you need, which is to get ready. So what happens if you do this again tomorrow and the day after that? Guess what? You'll get the same results, which is to get ready. The only thing that I don't like about systems is dependency. If I get used to a system, I tend to get reliant on it. It's quite challenging to be creative when you are relying on a system. You have this imaginary box that you only need to do what's inside of the box. Sometimes you think to yourself, what if there's a better way to do something? The system that was inside the box worked before, so why would I change it now? And that led me to getting bored long term. So that's when I switched to being spontaneous. Wait. I like to think that being spontaneous is an outlet for me to be creative. I get to think and do things differently than what I usually do. You're not stuck with a system that you need to follow every single time, making it one of the pros of being spontaneous. It gives you room for creativity. Second pro of spontaneity is excitement and adventure. Spontaneous actions can lead to unexpected adventures and excitement, adding variety and spontaneity to life. It leads to things you wouldn't otherwise see or experience if you didn't do it. Now, during the winter season, most of our times after work or in the afternoon are usually just spent here at home. Most of our activities are just indoors. But as days and weeks pass, things just got a little less interesting each day. So we wanted to do something that's different. We wanted to change that. As soon as we started noticing that the weather was warming up, we immediately put on our sneakers and started walking and running outside. Now, to further elaborate my point here, let's talk about this view deck that we found on a trail. And according to the information that's written on here, this was built back in 1994, which is 20 plus years ago, like 2 years before my birth year. To think that this is just a 5-minute drive to where we live, and this deck is just sitting on one of the roads that I always drive, like almost every day. It's crazy. I mean, if we haven't decided to just go for a run on this trail, if we haven't been spontaneous with our lives, we wouldn't be able to find out about this place that's been sitting here for almost 2 decades. Plus, it offers a nice view of the river. Experiencing things without you planning it lights up a fire inside you, and it keeps you wanting more of it. But having more of it isn't necessarily a good thing, which leads me to my next point. Risk. First con of spontaneity. It is risky if they're often made without full consideration of potential consequences. If the risk is good, then that makes it exciting, which is actually our #1 pro earlier. If the results of the risk isn't great, and then that's when you face problems. Regret. The last con of being spontaneous. Some spontaneous actions may lead to regret if they result in negative outcomes or missed opportunities that could have been avoided with more careful planning. We've experienced this on our last trip to Jasper, Alberta. Amazing, by the way, beautiful place to go to. And it's only our second time going there, me and my wife. Of course, everything was planned out, itinerary, just like Vancouver. So we were there, we took off, go for a road trip. And the funny thing about it is when we were actually there, already exploring the town of Jasper, we keep seeing these places, these spots that were actually beautiful, more beautiful than the spots that we've been to, and we couldn't go to them because our time was limited. It was only a 2-day trip. If they were on our list, that would have been better. Since the trip was somehow last minute, so the planning was just on a rush. But I guess now we have a reason to go back to Jasper in the near future. Now, is one thing better than the other? Here's what I realized. You can actually have both. Systems gives you consistent results, while spontaneity, on the other hand, gives you the opposite. It's risky, but it's great if the results are better. It's just up to you, depending on what you value the most. Systems gives you peace of mind because you already know what to do. While on the other hand, spontaneity, you just wing it. Based from experience, being creative or being spontaneous all the time is exhausting. Run out of things to do. Creative juices just isn't infinite, and when that happens, I always revert back to the system. Balancing both of them can be quite of a challenge if it's new to you, but implementing them on your life is ideal, and it will be helpful in some ways. And that's all there is that I wanted to talk about. If you're a systems person or a spontaneous person, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk about your inputs, and yeah, talk soon.